And then after that's hand tight, also I'd recommend you put a rag under this to catch it because a lot of oil will come out. Okay, make sure just to keep a rag under there so you don't drip oil all over your garage. And once you have the front seal cover off the pulley, the actual one that holds the pulley to the camshaft is this Allen bolt right here inside. It's a 10mm. Again, same thing. Hold onto the section on the camshaft with the adjustable wrench and a 10mm socket, or a Allen wrench is fine, but you will have to add an extension on that because this bolt is held in pretty tight, so you need a good bit of torque. And keep in mind this pulley, it will move because of the VVTi. Okay, here's a better display of showing you how the VVTi moves independently of the timing belt. This inner bolt is tied onto the camshaft, so the movement of this one is going to be the same as the camshaft actual movement of the breaker bar right here. So see, this is locked in place, but when the actuator on the VVTi activates, this camshaft can actually go back and forth independent of the timing belt, like that. So anyways, you hold on to the section on the camshaft with your adjustable wrench and go ahead and pull down on this bolt here. Loosen that. Go ahead and remove both bolts off the camshafts. Keep in mind that these are going to be pretty oily, so have a rag somewhere where you can set these down so you don't make a mess on your garage floor. Okay, the next step is going to be to pull the actual pulleys off. The exhaust side, it's a non-VVTi pulley. It just comes off. That's it. Okay, set that aside. The VVTi one actually has a double seal inside it. This one, you slide it straight off. Does not take a lot of force at all. Keep it straight so you don't scratch anything. And set that aside again on something that can catch oil, because there is a good bit of oil inside that pulley. Thing on the timing belt cover, this is a rear cover plate. This is actually made out of metal, and there's 4 bolts here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. And go ahead and remove those, and the plate should come off. Okay, once everything's off, this plate just pulls right out. Like that. Okay, the next step right here, if you're doing the timing belt service, is to remove the camshaft seals off the camshafts. And the way to do this, there's 2 ways, depending on if you remove the valve covers or not. If you remove the valve covers, then you'll be fine, because you can just undo there's 2 bolts here and the 2 bolts here for the VVTi side, and for the VVTi sides there's also 2 Allen bolts on the back of the actuator. But I'll show you this side first. It's simpler. If you remove the valve cover, if you just take these 2 bolts off, this upper cap on the camshaft cover will just pull off, and the seal will just pop out. You can just pull it out with your finger. If you're a little lazier and you didn't pull off the valve cover, the only reason to pull off the valve cover is to replace the valve cover gaskets. Those do get old after a while and they do leak. I recommend replacing those. If you're lazy and you don't feel like doing that, that's your choice, and I'll show you how to change the seals out without removing the valve covers. This one here is actually called the shaft type seal puller. This is actually one that'll reach in behind the seals and pull them out without having to take off the cam covers. What some other people do is they just wedge a screwdriver in here. I mean, it'll work, and again, I just bought the proper tools anyway just to make the job safer and not scratch anything up accidentally, because you really don't want to put any scratches on the caps on the camshafts or the camshaft itself, because if you add any scratches to that, there's a good chance that oil will start leaking past the seal. Let's go ahead and open this tool. This tool is about $20 and you can order it online. Okay, the way this works, there's a small hook on the tip of this, and this hook will reach behind the camshaft seal and pull it out. This piston here, this will actually rest against the head of the engine, and you'll go a leveraging action like, hold on, tighten it down. It'll go like this and pull the seal out. So I can go ahead and do that now. In most cases, to do the top two, you'll be removing the valve covers as well. The reason I bought this tool is to do the front main seal without having to remove the oil pump from the car. It comes out with very little effort, and that's the seal removed. Okay, same thing with this side, but you actually notice how on the VVTI pulley is the one that rides against the seal. On this one, the camshaft rides against the seal. Over here, the camshaft doesn't ride against the seal. It's actually has some gap around it, and that extra little gap is for the VVTI pulley to give it some room to rotate to change the angle of the camshaft. And this same thing. That one's a little more difficult to remove, but as I said, well, once you remove it, sometimes, well, either way, you don't want to reuse the seals. But see, this one's destroyed. The other one that was not destroyed, but I wouldn't recommend putting an old seal back in. The other way that would be a lot easier without having to use this tool is just to remove the caps. They come right off. I'll go ahead and demonstrate that now. Remove these, and also another thing, the caps will be hard to remove because upon reassembly, you actually fill the sides of it with some silicone sealant, and that keeps the caps from leaking. But that also makes it a little more difficult to remove. If you notice on the edge here, there's a tab to pull, and also on this side there's a tab to pull. All you do is get a flat head and pull up on that tab. And it comes out just like that. See, here's the silicone sealant, the remains. Go ahead and peel that off. You're going to apply new sealant when you reassemble everything. Okay, quick demonstration of how I normally change cam seals. Okay, the seal's in here, and when you put everything back together like that, the seal stays in, and you don't have to press it or force it or anything because there's no additional force holding it down right now. And same thing, if you have the valve covers off when you're starting this to remove the seals, you pop the caps off and these just slide right out. You don't have to use a tool for this step if you don't have that tool. this is the way to do it if you don't have the tool. Okay, now that one's out and that one's out.